Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping on down into the world of XRP, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we would expect to happen next. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, you know what to do, hit the like button, I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications and you will not miss another live stream or video that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic place, talking crypto 24/7, why not check it out, as I said, in the description below. Okay, let's get started. We have XRP paired up with USDT here on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source. Now, as you can see, we have our three-wave structural bounce to the upside. This came in at 40.99. That hasn't changed. That's kind of where we sat. I think that was the high on the 30th of July. Okay, so we had this kind of downward price action during August, and for the most part, that looks like it's going to continue a little bit. This, of course, this three-wave move is a fourth wave, meaning that we have our fifth wave expectations to the downside. I can go ahead and just throw a Fibonacci retracement tool on here just so you can get an idea as to where we're heading. Typically a wave 5 goes between 1.236 and 1.618 of our fourth wave. Okay, so you take that fourth wave measurement, we're looking for 1.236 to 1.618. That's a typical kind of retracement for the fifth wave. So basically for XRP we're talking 23.05 cents to about 26.41 cents. Okay, so I can go ahead and just remove the fibs. We don't need that on there right now. We kind of have our low points. So then of course we start to think about the structure that's appearing here on the way to the downside. Now, we have a lot of overlap in here, basically meaning that this is not a trend to the downside. We obviously do have our much larger trend. If I bring this to a 4-hourly chart and just bring this down a little bit, this 5-wave move here, this is kind of a trend on a slightly larger scale. Okay, the 5-wave structure is a trend, but it does sit inside a zigzag pattern, basically 535. So once we actually finish this down, we can consider this entire thing a rather big ABC. So all the way from the top, back in actually April of 2021, it's a big A down, B up, C down here. Okay, it's a big ABC, big 535. Now, obviously, the big thing here is to see whether or not this is going to turn into a bigger 53535. And the way you do that is basically by checking to see whether or not you're going to hit the 1.618 retracement levels, which in the case of XRP would be all the way down here at 16.06 cents. Okay, and we'd have to do it with a singular 5-wave structure. We couldn't have two 5-wave structures strung together for that. Okay, so for the most part, it's looking pretty good, and I'm not overly too concerned with it. We have a pretty good structure here, and like I said, it's a 3, 3, 5 inside this last little point as well. So that's looking good. So actually, that does break the idea of an impulsive structure in the sense of a fire. How do I say it? It's a 3, 3, 5 structure, but you know, it's not a zigzag. That's kind of the way I want to kind of articulate it a little bit. Okay, let's go jump back down into the here and the now, right? So we have a little bit of a brief history there for XRP. What's going on right here is a very interesting structure, a lot of overlap. Okay, so that overlap is not what we'd want to see inside this fifth wave. Okay, it could mean that maybe we just haven't finished with our fourth wave yet. Okay, maybe this fourth wave has to go a little bit higher. We did have higher expectations at the end of the day. We got confirmation of this area here at 40.99, but we could also think about this maybe like this, right? This is a giant A wave, this could be our B wave, and we could just come up here a little bit higher. However, we should also be aware that, you know, that's also something that might not actually occur. This could just be a diagonal structure finishing off our fifth wave before we actually have that next run upwards. Okay, so there's a few things we kind of want to think about, and kind of things that we have to adjust as time progresses here. But let's kind of talk about the momentum behind the price action, because right now we're actually quite high on this 4-hourly stochastic RSI, basically telling us that we have some kind of downward motion still in play here. Now, for the most part, we still have ourselves this triangular wedge right in here. Okay, you can kind of see that really bad drawing that I just put on there. Let me grab a couple of trend lines, it'll probably be easier. So you can kind of see that we're getting ourselves wedged up inside this little triangle just in here. Okay, so this is a coiling up. This is usually a continuation pattern. So when we look at this, not only are we overbought, we can look at it as in it's something like that. Okay, we kind of have a 3-wave structural move within it. Okay, we can break to the upside, but it's incredibly rare under those circumstances. Now, the hourly is progressing to the upside as well as we continue to trade sideways here within this kind of triangle pattern. So then looking at this as a pure continuation pattern, you can kind of see a little mini one just in here as well. So you can kind of see this We just grab that, just throw it on here. You can see this one here, and all that kind of nonsense that you often hear about. We're setting ourselves these higher highs and higher lows and all that kind of stuff. But here, it's actually lower highs and higher lows coiling up and then break down. We're doing the same thing, just on a slightly larger scale over this side. Basically, essentially, we are setting ourselves up with these higher lows and lower highs, and basically these are continuation patterns that they break to the downside or they break to the upside depending on what led into them. For example, if we were going up when this continuation pattern happened, then we'd break to the upside afterwards. But in the case of XRP here, what we're actually doing is we're going down, and then therefore we're going to come out of this on the way to the downside as well. So knowing that the structure here is basically saying that we are likely to come on down, we can now start to think about why that is the case. Okay, so let's think about what's going on to start with. Straight off the bat, we kind of have this structure right in here. Okay, we then have a little bit of a reset that goes on here. Okay, a little bit of a pump and dump. Okay, and then of course we're now in this next leg down, which is this one. If I can grab hold of that high point, basically looking to fall down deeper like this. This is kind of how I'm reading it. Now, essentially, if I zoom out of that for a second, it's all corrective, right? This doesn't give us a huge amount of hope, I guess, that we're bearish. Okay, this actually is pretty much positive news to say that we might move up. Okay, so it might seem like it's bearish, but it's not necessarily the case. And basically here we have this kind of structure going on, right? It's basically a corrective ABC, and we're talking about maybe just pulling down a little bit further to finish it off before we can start to move on up. Now, if that's the case, then we have to consider the entire structure of all of this. Let me remove those stocks. If I bring this up, we can see that all of that structure here being an A, all of these three waves being our B, that we can then start to maybe progress on up higher than 40.99 before we have a breakdown, meaning that our fourth wave might not actually be finished yet and it's still in play before we actually can pull back down. And the higher that wave 4 goes, the lower that wave 5 goes. Okay, so a little bit of I guess greed can kind of get the worst of you later, so you might want to FOMO in and push the price up higher, but actually all you're going to do is break down further later. Okay, so you're going to push the burden on in terms of time. Okay, so keeping a close eye on these various different ways of looking at this, but the good news is it's all overlapping corrective structures basically means no trend. No trend means at this point in time potentially no reason to come on down into the fifth wave low points. There's one big caveat to that, and that is a ending diagonal structure. An ending diagonal structure is a series of 3 wave structures that overlap like this. Okay, usually in this scenario, you do not hit this low point. You do not go down as low as 23.26 cents. And basically wave 4 overlaps wave 1, and basically it's a 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 structure. Okay, so they're actually quite difficult to spot. So you only tend to see them either in wave 1s, as in their leading diagonals, or you find them in wave 5s where they're ending diagonals. Okay, so when we're in this wave 5 low point here, we're talking about coming down to finally finish it off. We have to consider diagonal structures right outside of it, and when we see these overlapping structures like this, we always have to consider whether that's an ending diagonal structure before we start to get that run to the upside. Okay. But for the most part, everything on XRP I'm pretty happy with. I'm pretty happy with the overall structure of it all. And we're just kind of bottoming out wherever it ends up. We'll obviously review these structures as they go along. We've got a couple of options. We are ending diagonal, or we're just going to rally on up a little bit higher. But I'm probably thinking we have to pull back first. Maybe a double bottom around the 30.2 cent range, this little dash line just here. So keeping a close eye on that. But otherwise, I think XRP is in a reasonably good position, and I think it's going to rally up, eventually with everything else in the crypto space. And obviously, when the lawsuit finishes, we're going to have some fantastic runs from there as well. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you found it useful, you know what to do. Hit the like button for me. If you're new, subscribe, tap the bell. Make sure you stay up to date with the live streams and videos. And of course, join us down in Discord. Guys, that's all I have for you today. So have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one.